There is a severe geographical hurdle. Conventional nuclear reactors run on natural uranium, and India holds very limited domestic reserves of that specific ore. Relying entirely on imported fuel to run a 100-gigawatt grid is economically unviable and leaves the country vulnerable to supply chain disruptions. Under standard engineering models, this clean energy goal hits a geographic dead end. While the continent is starved of uranium, it sits on one of the largest domestic reserves of a different radioactive element, thorium. This atomic model shows the physical constraint preventing that element from being used immediately. Natural uranium contains fissile isotopes, meaning its atoms will split and release energy when struck by a neutron. Thorium is what physicists call fertile. Instead of splitting, a fertile atom simply absorbs the neutron. Because it absorbs impacts rather than shattering, thorium cannot spark or sustain a nuclear chain reaction on its own. In its natural state, it is effectively unburnable dirt. The nation's energy future is tied to a material that, on its own, produces no power. For the strategy to work, engineers have to find a way to convert this inert resource into something that can actually be consumed. In the mid-20th century, the architect of India's nuclear program, Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha, recognized this geographic trap. He designed a 3-stage nuclear power program to circumvent it. Stage 1 involves taking what little natural uranium India possesses and burning it in heavy water reactors. The objective is to harvest the spent fuel, which is rich in a highly reactive byproduct, plutonium. That decades-long strategy is now crossing a major threshold. On April 6, 2026, the 500-megawatt Prototype Fast Breeder Reactor at the Kalpakkam complex achieved its first criticality, initiating a sustained nuclear chain reaction. This machine officially launches Stage 2. Its primary function is to serve as the physical bridge required to finally process the country's bohrium reserves. This diagram shows a cross-section of the Fast Breeder Reactor core. The inner fuel zone contains a mixed oxide made from the plutonium harvested in Stage 1. This highly active core is then wrapped in an outer blanket of fertile uranium-238. When the plutonium fissions, it releases fast-moving neutrons. These neutrons escape the inner core and strike the fertile uranium blanket. The impact causes transmutation, converting the stable uranium into highly fissile plutonium-239. This creates a mathematical anomaly in energy production. As the reactor runs, the surrounding blanket literally breeds a higher volume of fresh, usable nuclear fuel than the central core consumes. Once the system is running smoothly, engineers will execute the ultimate pivot. They will swap the uranium blanket out for a thick layer of India's abundant thorium-232. The fast neutrons streaming from the core will bombard the useless thorium, transmuting it into uranium-233, an incredibly potent fissile fuel that can easily sustain a chain reaction. The Fast Breeder Reactor functions as a manufacturing plant for its own fuel, specifically engineered to bypass India's uranium shortage by synthesizing a high-grade fissile resource from inert materials. Building a stockpile of uranium-233 provides the necessary feedstock for Stage 3, the deployment of a massive fleet of commercial thorium-based reactors designed to secure energy independence for tens of thousands of years. With the Kalpakkam reactor operational, India becomes only the second country in the world, following Russia, to successfully run a commercial fast breeder system. The government is actively accelerating this momentum. They've allocated 20,000 crore rupees to deploy small modular reactors by 2033 and passed the SHANTI Act of 2025 to modernize the legal framework and allow private sector participation in nuclear development. The breakthrough at Kalpakkam proves that a nation is not strictly bound by the minerals inside its borders. Through generational engineering and patience, it is possible to overwrite your resource geography entirely, building a reliable, zero-carbon grid from the ground up.